I've always been a big believer that sometimes some of the greatest impact we have in the world comes out of our hardest days. We have a guest that's going to share a story, how she came through some tough days and is making a difference in this world. Welcome to this episode of Beauty Sports.
Doesn't matter if you're an athlete, parent, coach, or just a fan of the game. Everyone's welcome at Beauty Sports, baby. Let's go.
Addie Miles, my friend, we have another remote episode with an incredible guest who actually shares the same letters of a name as me, but it's said differently.
It's said spelt the exact same way.
I know, it's throwing me for a loop.
It's going to be fun watching you two go back and forth today, being like, oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh. For those of you who aren't watching this and who it's just in your ears, our guest today is Alicia Souvney. Alicia, her Instagram is Alicia like Patricia, and that's the only reason I haven't screwed it up yet. Welcome to Beauty Sports. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Ads, before we're going to let Alicia get settled here. Do you want to do a plug of where people can find us on social media today, or do you want me to stick to it?
Oh boy, I don't know if I can do it justice. You know what I mean? That has been you're good. You're so good at it. And I just want everybody to follow everything all the time.
All right. So off the top of the show, and we do this, Alicia, because half the time we end up forgetting to do it at the end. So for those of you who are here, thank you for joining us. If this is your first episode of Beauty Sports, you picked a good one, first of all. If you are a repeat listener, wow, we thank you yet again this week. If you don't already, make sure to find us on Instagram at Beauty Sports Talk. You can find Addie at Addie Miles Abbott. Almost screwed that up. You can find me at Cowie14. Where can they find you, Alicia?
Alicia like Patricia.
Dang.
And plug it now and we'll get into it later. What's the second Instagram that they should go follow?
Step Up with Alicia.
There we go. So if you haven't already, that's what you need to do. The second thing that we need you to do, because lots of people share this with their friends, send it on a text, whatever. But one of the best ways for people who don't know who we are to find this is if you go over to wherever you listen to this podcast, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure to leave this a 5 stars only rating and review. If you don't like what you hear, don't tell us about it. Just kidding.
Keep it to yourself.
Yeah, leave that feedback in Instagram or something so it doesn't skew the algorithm.
And you were going to ask me to do that. That was just bang. So good. Unreal.
All right. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Yes. I am wearing a Hockey Gives Blood hat for a reason that we're going to talk about today. But Alicia, I don't want to do any disservice in trying to tell a brief version of your story that we're going to, talk in length about. But do you mind giving us a bit of an introduction into who you are? If someone Googled your name, what might they find?
Well, they'd find out that 4 years ago, I was on my way to work and I was in a pretty serious car accident, ended up losing my leg and requiring a lot of blood to survive. Since then, I've started playing para ice hockey and also am the first para athlete player ambassador with Hockey Gives Blood.
Very cool.
Wow. I feel like that was very Cole's notes because we're going to get into so much stuff about you today. It's amazing. But walk us through, well, first, because you talked about Hockey Gives Blood, how did you get into that? Was it just a natural progression for you after, getting into para hockey? Was it just something you initially thought you wanted to be a part of?
My involvement actually started with them before I started playing para hockey. When I was in the hospital, before I was even fully conscious again, one of the things, people kept asking my family and stuff, what can we do? What can we do to help? How can we help? One of the things they said was you can donate blood, kind of in her honor, because she required a lot of blood. I believed in blood donations before. I work with a lot of patients that have required blood. So I've always, believed in the importance of donating that. And I think it's pretty cool that you can be pretty much a literal superhero just by getting a quick needle. So my, at the time, boyfriend was the physio for the Oil Kings, our WHL team here. And a bunch of the boys there got together and organized a big blood donation together. And actually, one of their assistant coaches, Luke, is one of kind of the two big guys who started Hockey Gives Blood. So Luke and Stu are the two big names behind it. So started talking to Luke and getting to know more about it that way. Met Stu through him, and here we are, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we always, Addie and I are hockey people. Okay, so let's start with that. Is that we met through hockey. That still is one of the ways that we stay connected. We coached spring hockey together this year. Like I say, she coaches against my wife. We always knew that the hockey community was a tight-knit, small place. It is, I've said it, I work in sales. There's not many places I can go that I can't figure out a way to connect somebody I know through sports and through hockey. And so I'm not shocked to hear that the hockey community rallied behind you and in support of you at a time of need. And I think, like you said, the ability to be a superhero and give a non-monetary donation. When people, sometimes you think, we don't all have the means to go and drop $20, $50, $1 even, however much that is. But to be able to go and sit down for an hour and save a life potentially is huge. So I can't give blood. I've said it on the podcast before, but I have ulcerative colitis. That's one of the things that means I can't give blood. So I never have. So can you talk to us? Obviously, you have donated blood since your accident, have you?
No,
or are you not able?
Accident.
Okay.
So I donated, I think for my first, I think you have to be 16. I think I was 16 or 17 the first time I donated, and it was like a school,
Fun,
our high school versus the other high school kind of. So great way to get a bunch of competitive people to show up and donate blood. And then I donated semi-regularly after that. Yep. But then during my undergrad, I worked with monkeys. I worked at a zoo and I worked with monkeys, and that actually also stops you from ever being able to donate blood again.
Oh, ever?
Ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Who knew? Monkey viruses, so.
That's interesting.
That is fascinating.
You had the experience before that. Have you ever donated blood?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you tell us, for someone who doesn't know, someone who's never donated blood before, what does that process look like? If a listener's like, hey, heck yeah, I can donate. What does that process look like?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is it's easier than what people think. Like you go in, you fill out a form, you fill out a couple of things, and then you get asked a questionnaire, and then literally you're right in line to go in. They hook you up to a needle, you sit there, and the process is like 10 to 15 minutes, easy, and then you get cookies.
Really?
And then because they gotta jack you back up. So you get juice and cookies at the end of it. So all of us are like, get after it. We want some cookies.
What's your excuse now, folks?
That's right. So we actually did it as crazy enough for the situation. University hockey, Bisons, every year we'd all get together and we'd go down to University Center. We'd just wait in line, fill out a questionnaire. We were back in the dressing room within less than 40 minutes.
I love it.
Easy process
so
for sure.
Also, lesson learned: if you want to be able to donate blood in your life, don't work with monkeys.
No,
who knew?
Not.
That is, and this is going to maybe be a really stupid question, but even if they don't bite you, like even if there's no contact in that regard, you cannot give blood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that was that part of the survey? Mine gave me a hard no right away, basically.
Yeah.
It is.
So it's like deeper into the survey.
Okay.
And now speaking about the survey, if you're planning on donating blood, it's even easier now because if you get the app, you can do everything ahead of time before you even show up. So, and then you can find out if you're not eligible before you book an appointment and do all that stuff. So,
yeah, I did. I actually did it twice because I was like, they gotta be wrong.
Yeah. No. Not accepting that.
Or no, not allowed.
Crazy.
So, obviously it's a super impactful message. It's a super impactful way to make a difference in this world. And I love that the hockey community is getting behind it. So we'll continue to share that message here in Manitoba. But if people do go and give a donation, they can do it in honor of you, which is what we said early off the top, which is what? Step Up with Alicia, right?
Yes, Step Up with Alicia. It's actually under HGB, Step Up with Alicia. Okay. So Hockey Gives Blood, Step Up with Alicia. But I think if you just search Step Up with Alicia.
Yeah, I think you can Google it. That's what I did. All right, let's jump back to you as a human. You did not play hockey before your accident, you told us.
No, I played soccer all the way through like 4 years old till 18 years old. And then just for fun, kind of in university, nothing serious. So like I've always enjoyed sports. I'm the kind of person who would play any sport. I'm not necessarily good at any sport, but I will play any sport. If you invite me to play a sport, I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Love that.
Never done it before. Let's do it. So I love sports, but I wasn't a high level athlete. I didn't play university sports. I didn't do any of that. But I did. So I'm a physiotherapist. And starting during my physio degree, I started working as a trainer with a local club here, hockey club, and just loved the atmosphere and loved being at the rink. Quickly got over the stench of
hockey gear.
Old boys in a change room together.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. You know now, girls don't smell any better.
They do. They smell way better.
Whoa.
They smell way better.
Not
What
the teams
room
that I
are you
played
in?
on.
I don't know. Teenage boys, particularly, like.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's fair
Like,
enough.
the
It's fair
older
enough.
boys, it's okay, but like the teenage boys, they're going through puberty. I don't know what's going on with their bodies, but.
Yeah.
That stinks.
I don't know what's going on there.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you get used to that and you learn to love everything about going to the rink and showing up at the ice. And so when I was in my accident, it wasn't just my boyfriend Matt's hockey teams that were supporting us. It was also my club and just everyone in the city and ringette teams. And they held kind of like games where they raised donations. They had helmet stickers. And just people I'd never met before, but just because it was the hockey community, and that's what the hockey community does.
Yep.
So I guess I fell in love with the sport that way. Obviously, I grew up in Canada, so like I was a fan of hockey just because that's
right
here, right? But
yeah,
I really fell in love with it, working with those boys. And then after my accident. The thing about para sports is kind of you get into one of them and then you connect with people and you get into all of them.
Okay.
So like if you get into one, there's the connections for any other para sport kind of thing because everybody's tried at least 3 different para sports in their lifetime.
And it's a smaller community of people. Yeah. Yep.
So through para skiing actually is kind of how I got into para ice hockey. And I just emailed them and I said, hey, can I come out and try it? Tried it.
Very
loved
cool.
it. Loved it the first day I went. And haven't stopped since.
Amazing.
That is so to think of, because I think that in the context, you're obviously here for ice hockey, but for people to know that it's not even like you've played multiple sports as a para athlete. Like that is so cool.
Not like high level. Don't get too excited.
Yeah. We're always excited here. That's because so now I want to ask you a couple questions about skiing for just a second. So it was just straight downhill skiing that you were a part of as well?
Yeah.
Did you ski? Did you ski pre-accident?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
okay.
Once again, like not competitively or anything, but that was the big part of, my family life growing up was trips to the mountains. We loved skiing from Alberta. We live close. Gotta abuse that, right? So
absolutely.
Speaking to flatlanders over here.
That's right.
Oh my God, you spend more time on the chairlift than you do bombing the hill in Manitoba because it's literally a hill.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So then you try hockey and you love it. So the first actual hockey game you play is as a para athlete? Like you never played a hockey game prior?
I played like a tiny bit of shinny here and there, maybe. Just like I wasn't even that good of a skater, but
But like a full game with refs and everything was as a para. That is cool.
What was the most difficult thing for you to learn when you started?
Still learning.
I feel like, is it very hard to lift yourself back up? I feel like if you tip over in your sled, it would be very difficult. I feel like it would be to like get yourself back up. Or no?
I don't know. It was easier than I expected. So I guess like maybe I was going in with that mindset that it was going to be super hard. And so then I was like, oh, it's not actually that bad. But if you went in with the opposite mindset, maybe you'd think the opposite.
Fair.
I honestly stick handling just because I was a hockey player.
Yeah, which is totally
and even
fair.
if you were, I feel like it's an entirely different thing with two hands.
Well, you have to you propel yourself with your sticks. And then in order to also stick handle, you have to move your hand to the opposite end of the stick while still propelling yourself with the other stick. So it's...
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so at my core, I'm a hockey skills coach. It's so I'm nerding out on this because I'm thinking about when you're controlling a hockey stick with two hands, your top hand is the main controlling piece. But now you're saying you essentially have to have the same amount of control out, 50-50 off both hands. Because one of the advantages I would say is that you'd be able to shoot from one side and the other side, which would give you a complete advantage when you're going into the zone.
Mm-hmm. It's like a basketball player. You're elite basketball players. Of course, you have to be able to dribble with both hands equally.
Well, for sure. That's very cool.
But
cool.
Are your sticks curved?
Yeah.
Or straight?
No, they're curved. They're the blade is different than I don't have my stuff inside. It's all in the garage.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's a little different shape than a stand-up stick, but it is still curved. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wondered if so they are very distinctly a right hand and a left hand. Okay.
Gotcha. And one more equipment question is the tracks underneath. So your blades underneath. So does everybody have to have the same width between, or can you adjust it based off of your preference?
You adjust it based off of your preference. So
fantastic.
You start with it acres apart and then work your way in. Kind of the tighter you have them, the easier it is to turn.
Mm-mm.
But if you have them a little wider, sometimes, especially if you're defensive or whatever, and you're taking a lot of hits, sometimes that can be an advantage just because you're a little bit more stable, obviously.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Because I've always wondered about that, because when you watch a game, I'm fascinated when I watch it, because turning for some is on a dime, and then you can tell that others are very much in a control state where they're a little bit more stable. And to think of being able to have that as an advantage of putting in, I don't think many people would know that.
Yeah.
That the tracks underneath can actually be moved.
I would have,
That's
now that you
very
say
cool.
It, when you think about watching a pair ice hockey game, you definitely can tell if people have the ability to turn tight.
Totally.
Interesting. Totally. So talk to us. We want to spend time on just general awareness of para ice hockey, and in particular women's para ice hockey, because you ladies are putting in the work to grow this baby. So let's help. We want to help. Mm-hmm. We did a little bit of as much digging around as we kind of could, and talk to us about where you're at today. I know the goal, the video that you just put out. So if you haven't already, follow Alicia on social media and go and find, actually, where will they find? Because this was on your story today. It was actually on.
It's from the Women's National Para Ice Hockey, so the Canadian Women's National Para Ice Hockey page, and their Instagram.
Okay, so WPH Canada.
Yeah,
follow WPH Canada on Instagram and find this video, because it's super informative of where you're trying to get. But give us your Coles notes of where you're at today, where women's para ice hockey is at today, and where you're trying to go.
Well, it's currently a pay-to-play sport for women. So Hockey Canada does include men's para ice hockey and, of course, women's stand-up. So women's para is kind of the one left out branch. So we are working really hard right now to kind of build it as a sport and build its recognition, and also get some funding so that athletes can afford to be part of the team, instead of having to pay to go to all the camps and pay for the ice times and the flights and the hotels and everything. We don't want people to not be able to be part of the team just financially.
Yep.
So it's not even just a matter of not getting paid to play your sport. It's actually having to pay quite a bit of money.
Not having the burden. Right. Yep.
And of course the equipment's not cheap. Any sport equipment isn't cheap, but then you add in that it's all kind of specialized para equipment, and yeah, so we're really trying to get some sponsors in there. And we actually did get a bit of sponsorship this year from Canadian Tire, which is super exciting.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So good for them for stepping up to that.
That's right.
Yep.
But we're looking for more. So, I mean, whoever happens to hear this podcast, if they're wanting to sponsor some women's para sports,
this is a good place to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're growing the sport. It's still, if you watch that video that's on the national page, in Paralympics, it's still a mixed gender sport, meaning it's not
women can play.
Women can play, but unfortunately, as we know, women and men are not built quite the same, and that's why in most sports we have different categories. And so only 3 women in the history of it being in the Paralympics have ever played, and they've only played mostly fairly minimally, even for the ones they've gone to. And they even have a rule in the Paralympics that if you bring a woman, you can actually have an extra roster spot. But people still don't bring women because we cost money to bring and aren't useful, I guess.
Yeah.
So, we really would like to see it be its own women's sport. So that's kind of the long-term goal.
Yeah.
Hoping.
And then talk to us about, sorry to interrupt you there.
Okay.
Talk to us about where we're at, because that video does also say, so you guys had the first Women's World Challenge last August in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And it sounded like that was very successful. From what we took away from that. But the goal they set in there was ultimately to have a Women's World Championship in 2025. And is that a requirement to then be able to possibly be entered into the 2030 Olympics?
Yes.
Okay.
So walk us through a little bit more, because like that video was fantastic about the Women's World Challenge. What was that atmosphere like? What was the event like? You know, like when you think back, is there, you know, something that stands out for you specifically? Like kind of take us back to that event, because it looked amazing.
I mean, it's a very interesting athletic setting because obviously we're all very competitive, and that's like, especially, you know, Canada, the States, hockey, always very competitive. But it's also just incredibly supportive because we all just want the best for the game kind of thing. So we're there not just to compete, but also to help build up the other teams and help support them and help in any way we can to grow it as a global game. It was really cool. We had one of the teams there was a world's team. So it just had players from a bunch of different places, and hopefully some of them have gone back to their countries and have been able to kind of help grow the sport there. And
yes. Okay. I was going to ask you that because in the video it said 61 athletes from 8 countries across 4 teams. So that is how that was a thing.
Yeah.
So Canada, the US, where, and a world team.
Great Britain.
Okay.
And
very cool.
The team's fairly new. So it's really awesome. They're doing great. I was also just recently in London for a tournament, and London, Ontario. Sorry.
I was like, whoa, cool.
From England flew up to London, Ontario for this tournament. So the Great Britain team came and played at that tournament. So that's really good.
That is very fun.
So are all the teams, you would say, in the same spot where you're looking to go through the same process of creating, applications to get into the Olympics? Like, is everyone kind of working on getting sponsorship and funding? Like, is it kind of the same place for everybody right now?
Well, Hockey US does support the women's para team in the States. So they are funded through that. But of course, they want to have a Paralympic opportunity as well. Who doesn't want to represent their country at some form of Olympics, right? So I know there's been people, unfortunately, that have left the sport because they wanted to be in the Olympics, and that wasn't something that para hockey offered for women, really. So even in the States where they have that funding, they still are super supportive of the rest of us getting funding and growing the sport. And So you still feel
Yeah,
it
and
from
it's
there as well.
it's interesting to have a global, essentially, let's call that a global collective goal
Mhm.
in terms of global women's para hockey has the collective goal. How many teams do you need to have to host or have a world championship? Do you know? And if you don't know, that's fine
I
too.
don't know. I want
Yeah,
to say
I'm interested
Yeah.
because
for the Olympics, but I'm not. I'm also maybe making that up. So
okay, and interesting because if you had let's just think back to that. You had 8 countries, so it's not unrealistic to think you could have 8 teams.
Totally.
Mhm.
You had players, women from 8 countries. So if you need 6, well, odds are in our favor. And my other thing here would be, I think there's hope on the horizon of the fact that Hockey Canada is at a point where they know they need to change and be better. And so let's hope that also lends to more support for what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
That's as nicely as I can say that.
You did good. You did good.
Yeah.
So going back to that experience a little bit, like, was there like one person from specific, so there was Canada, US, Great Britain. So from the world's team, was there anybody that you just kind of got to sit down and talk to and get to know? Like, I feel like it was a very inclusive camaraderie style event. So like, was there any kind of off the grid crazy country that was there, like in team world?
Well, I don't know if I would say any off the grid crazy country.
Yeah, that's a weird way of saying that because it's the world, but I just went with it.
Yeah,
It's what came out.
It's just what came out.
Oh, it's fun. One of the big organizers, not actually an athlete on Team World, but one of the big organizers of the whole thing is an Australian.
Whoa.
So
how did that happen?
Right? I don't really know how that happened.
Interesting. Very cool though. Yeah.
Love it.
That is awesome.
Got to meet a couple of girls from Japan that were on Team World that were really excited about the sport. So yeah, it's
very cool.
That would have been the coolest dressing room to walk into.
Yeah.
You're just like,
yeah. Where are you from?
Where are you from?
It's true.
Aussie, Japan. That's because I was lucky enough to be a part of an international tournament, and it's one of the coolest experiences you can have, going in and meeting people from around the world that are trying to accomplish the same thing as you. So that's why I'm always super intrigued to hear stories, because it's like, oh, it's the best feeling.
Yeah.
You know, connecting the world through sport.
Oh yeah, totally. Talk to us what about it in that same video. It mentioned a 50 some odd, what was the word they used? Certified athletes? What does that mean?
Yeah, qualified or...
Yeah, that's right. That's the one.
So for parasports, you have to have a certain amount of disability typically to participate.
Okay.
So in para ice hockey, it's basically just lower body that matters. And kind of the concept is that it would limit you from being able to do stand-up. And that's why you're playing a parasport. So unfortunately, it's kind of a tricky situation. And for some people, it's harder to qualify than for others. I'm honestly almost kind of thought of as lucky in the community because I'm an amputee, which means I walk in the room and they know I've qualified. But for many people, it's things like they have to test muscle and range of motion of their leg and all that stuff. So it's kind of a complicated process, but.
Yeah, with very blurry lines.
Yes.
And in a place of, I in an odd way feel that I look like a very healthy person every day of my life. And so I entirely understand trying to, what feels like, justify something that you as a human very much recognize. So, hopefully. So is that part of what the work to be done is trying to clear up some of the definitions of how people participate? Or
I think the definitions are clearer, but there's only certain people that are actually qualified to qualify people. So
to give you the stamp.
Yeah. So kind of ahead of time, you can see a doctor who can be like, yeah, you'll probably qualify. You're right on the border kind of thing. And so for those as athletes, it can be very stressful because obviously they want to participate in the sport that they've been training in. And
Of course.
but that's, it's a very complicated aspect of parasport in general. And I don't know the solution to it, but
Yeah. No, and we don't need to find that today, but I think it's worth us making sure that people, that's part about it, is making sure people understand some of the like obstacles and barriers and things that people have to go through in a sport that's unknown to them. So, do you play para ice hockey somewhere in Edmonton or somewhere in Alberta on a regular basis?
Yes. So I have a local team, the Edmonton Storm. And
Go Storm!
Yeah.
Go Storm!
There's, I think, like maybe 5 or 6 teams in Alberta. So it's not really like regular stand-up hockey in that, you play a lot of league games. Most of our, like, we practice twice a week.
Yep.
Mostly our games are tournaments. So
yeah, that's actually, you know what, like, I'm just going to put but for context here, there are leagues, like we were talking about this, like the AAA league in Saskatchewan as an example, or in Alberta, like there's 9 teams at that level. So it's not, you're not crazy far off. It's just, you probably have a distance to travel. Like I'm assuming they spread from, where's the most southern team, Lethbridge?
Yeah. Or no, not Lethbridge. Sorry, Medicine Hat.
Okay, Medicine Hat. And are you the most northern, or is there someone above you?
We're the most northern.
Okay.
Official team. We actually have one of the players on our team who lives up, I think, near Peace River. Okay. He comes with us to some tournaments and stuff, but he tries to kind of coach a team back home, but mostly it's him.
That's a minute away.
Yeah. So this league you're in isn't just women. It's open gendered.
Yeah. So for the local team I'm on, it's mixed and also mixed with able-bodied. So I previously mentioned my boyfriend. He's now my fiance. He plays with me.
Very cool.
It's really awesome. He actually did play hockey when he was young. And so
very fun.
Got some skills going into it that I didn't have, but but it's super fun to get to play that together and to share that with him.
For sure. And I bet, like, not to assume from his position, but what a great experience for him to get to do something like that with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Experience that with you is so cool.
It's very neat.
Wow.
I'm also on Team Alberta, which is also mixed gender. And I don't know the exact rules, but they're allowed a certain number of able-bodied people on the team, I believe.
Okay.
And so for tournaments also, there's usually like a certain number of able-bodied people that can be on a team. But then for nationals, it's just people with disabilities.
Fair. Where are nationals this year?
Sorry, when I say nationals, I meant the national women's team or men's team, just people with disabilities.
Gotcha.
Nationals this year for the provincial teams is going to be in Montreal.
Oh, what a fun city.
Yeah.
Hello.
I was like...
So is the Edmonton Storm like top of the league, or where are we at here?
No, so that won't be with the Storm. That will be with Team Alberta.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on 3 teams.
Okay.
Just on the ice, are you?
I love that. So Team Alberta, you're going to Montreal. When is nationals?
May.
Amazing.
Okay, come back. We're calling you back in May.
Okay,
because we got to find out what's going on. That is fantastic, and what you're bang on. What a great city to host nationals in. Holy!
I was gonna say, if you say Winnipeg, I'm gonna say, well, I'll meet you for a beer. But yeah, no, that's awesome. That's so 3 teams. So so wait, we missed one. Edmonton, or are you counting the national team?
The national team. Yeah.
Okay.
The national team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the next event for the national team? How often are you guys together?
So I guess I shouldn't technically say I'm on the national team anymore. I was on last year's national team. Tryouts for this year's national team are at the end of February.
And where's that? Calgary?
Also in Montreal.
Come on.
She's just getting an apartment in Montreal soon.
That's right. That's right.
All over the country. So last year's tryouts were actually in Yellowknife, which was really, really cool to.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so fun.
Yellowknife is a hidden gem.
We had a girl on our podcast who is coaching the Northwest Territories team that's going to Canada Games, and she lives in Yellowknife. And Yeah, we had some funny stories about if you ever go back to Yellowknife, you should go try golf there because you have to carry around a turf pad because it's the desert. You got to pick your ball up off the dirt and put it on your own turf pad to hit it.
That makes sense.
So fun fact.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Got your own turf pad.
Okay, so tryouts are happening. Do you know how many women are going to tryouts this year?
I don't. It sounds like
Hopefully lots. I hope it's a big number.
That's good.
Good.
Awesome.
But, once again, it's stressful as an athlete when there's more competition, but it's really super exciting as somebody who cares about the sport and wants to see the sport.
Of course.
And stuff, so.
Of course. What number are you?
12.
Great number. Great number.
Heyo. It's
Perfect
Addie
number.
Mouse special.
Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Best number.
Oh, incredible. Okay, I want to jump back to one more time. I want to jump back to Step Up with Alicia. I want to jump back to Hockey Gives Blood. If you are able, I'm going to plug a couple things here. I'm wearing a hat. If you can't see me, if you're just listening to this while you drive or while you jog or walk your dog or whatever you're doing the dishes, I'm wearing a hat. I love hats. This is a great hat.
You're a hat person, that's for sure.
I rate the hat.
Yeah.
If it's on my head, it's a good hat because I got a big melon and I won't wear it if it's crap.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is from We Are Canadian. We are CDN.com/be a hero, I think. I'm going to put it on social media if I screwed that up. All the proceeds of this hat go to Hockey Give Blood. It is, I think, $42. Worth every penny of your $42 because it's a great hat. So if you can't donate blood, or if you want to donate blood and wear a great hat to do it, or if you just want to have a great hat and also donate blood on a different day, go get this bucket.
Yeah.
If you're able, go and look it up. Look up, blood.ca.
Yep.
Find the survey, do the survey, find out if you're able to give blood. Take a friend with you to give blood and do it in support of somebody you know, or if you don't know anyone, you can do it in support of Step Up with Alicia. Did I do that service?
You did. Yeah, that was perfect. And maybe don't just bring a friend, bring your whole team.
Bring your whole team.
Bring a team. Hashtag bring
team.
the team.
Yeah. Very,
Love
very,
that.
very cool. And make sure that part of this too is our last challenge to you around this. If you are donating blood or if you're buying a hat, take a picture while you're doing it and put it on social media and make sure that your friends know about this initiative too, because that also helps.
Absolutely. And I think you did that great. So I think we should also plug people watching para ice hockey.
Yeah. How do we do that? Can we do that?
Watch para ice hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of the tournaments, there's some sort of streaming.
Like Live Barn or something?
Sometimes it's on hockey TV. Sometimes, yeah. So yeah.
Very cool.
Usually some
I love it.
Keep your eye out for it.
And you said too that if it's just rec, if you're an able-bodied person, you can go and try out and be on a team.
And I don't think any teams are against people coming out to try it. We have the equipment, we have extra equipment. We want people to come try it. So find your local team and go try it.
I'm so happy you said that because I would say 90% of the people would be like, well, I don't have anything for it. Like I can. If you have a place where you can go find out more information, someone will help you get the equipment.
Mm-hmm. So what do you need? Like, are we talking bring nothing? Because I would have a helmet, shoulder pads, shin pads, things like that. Bring that stuff if you have it, right?
Bring that stuff if you have it. As I said, the first time I went, I didn't play any hockey. So I showed up with nothing. And they provided everything for me to try it. And then once I realized I loved it, I went and got my own stuff so that stuff would be available for the next person to try it.
Very cool.
Oh, so awesome.
Very, very cool. We give everyone an opportunity to plug yourself one more time or share one more message. You got anything left that you want to share?
Just really emphasizing that blood donors saved my life 100%. I would be dead without blood donors. And so if you can donate, you can be a hero. Please consider doing it. It's an amazing gift that you can give someone.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. You're incredible. Thank you. I said it off the top, and I really do believe that. I think some of our greatest, hard days are hard for a reason, because days are usually easier after that. But you're obviously incredibly resilient. And so thank you for coming here and sharing your story. I'm sure it's in some ways not easy every time you have to share it, but we appreciate you very much. And we know that the hockey community and those not in the hockey community, the sports community, will rally behind this. So we can't wait to see pictures on social media, people that are donating blood, some donations that are going to come in as a result. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share the conversation about Hockey Gives Blood and about women's para hockey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, and best of luck killing it in Montreal at your tryouts.
We'll be watching. Thanks again.
Take care.